I think one of my biggest horror stories when I first started, I was so eager to do open houses, and I was asked to do an open house the day before. And I just jumped to it and went to it, opened the door, and noticed that the whole house has completely just been destroyed. Like flooring been destroyed, clothing all over the house, and TV still on.
Are we talking like drywall holes? Like you can
like
see
holes into the hardwood floors and everything just destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I thought somebody was going to jump out the corner.
Oh, wow.
I called the agent and they said, "Oh yeah, I forgot that to tell you that it was a."
What's up, everybody? This is the Untapped Potential Podcast. I'm your host, Max Prado.
And I'm your host, Chris Navan.
And today, our special guest is Ariel Sanchez. Ariel is a real estate broker here in the Seattle area, one of the hottest real estate markets in the country. Ariel, thank you so much for joining us, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
excited to
going
have
through,
this.
Yeah. This is your first time being on a podcast, right?
Very first time, so I'm a little bit nervous, but at the same time, I'm excited.
Cool. I'm excited, man, because I know you got a lot of knowledge. You've been doing real estate for how long now?
For 4 years.
4 years. And one of the craziest markets, right? With COVID, it kind of switched things up. People kind of shifted around a little bit, right? So things are kind of crazy right now.
Things are moving, man.
They're pretty crazy right now, especially with the low rates and especially with the pandemic going on. It ramped up things even further as well, especially not just in the Seattle area, but also the suburbs. So I think the suburbs are a little bit more hotter than Seattle area right now as well.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow. And you have an interesting background too. And I think it's really cool that, coming where you come from and then now you're in real estate, I think you can share a unique perspective with the people watching and listening here today. So let's dive into that. Can you tell us a little bit about where you came from and kind of a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Seattle Central District area. As a toddler, my family ended up moving to Mexico. That's originally where my family's from, Oaxaca, Mexico. Yeah. And we lived there for a couple of years. Fast forward 3 years later, I'm starting school. My parents decided it's a better choice to move up north to Seattle again. So that's why we moved back. I spent the first half of my childhood over in Seattle, and then we moved up to the suburbs in Everett, where I finished high school.
Nice.
I have a bit of a different route in regards to college, though. I didn't really choose to go to college right after high school. I ended up going job to job. My parents did try to push me to go to college right after that. But 2 years later, I tried to apply for a job, and I said, if I don't get this job, then I'm going to go back to school. Mm-hmm. So long story short, I didn't get a call back. So college it was. Yeah. I jumped over to community college, transferred over to UW. And then once it came time to apply for business school, I ended up applying to both Seattle U and UW. Chose Seattle U. Definitely love the finance program there, especially when they focus more on investment finance more than corporate finance. So graduated from there. Unfortunately, I was not having the best of luck finding a job right off the bat. I was hopping from position to position, and then I ended up texting a family friend who is my cousin's girlfriend, and asked her about real estate because at the time she was doing really great. Saw how much she worked and everything, and I was always intrigued about the real estate market. So texted her and then asked her if I could shadow her. Ended up studying and ended up getting my license for real estate, and basically I fell in love with it.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was a combination of investing and on top of that being able to help people achieve that goal of purchasing a property. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest milestones in somebody's life. And then just to be there and help them out and advise them in regards to how to purchase a property, getting the finances straight, and being able to gain capital appreciation through real estate. That's one of the biggest satisfactions that I get through this market.
Yeah, it's a great investment. And going back to your degree, so you have a degree in in finance, right? From Seattle U?
Correct.
With the focus on investment finance. Mm-hmm. That's cool. And so you saw kind of a route where you can combine that knowledge with kind of your passion for helping people achieve their dreams and reach their financial goals. Exactly. That's why you went into real estate.
Exactly. It's basically the best of both worlds for me too. Yeah. And then growing up in the suburbs, I had a lot of friends. When we played football, I would go visit their houses, and I would just want to tour their houses. I wanted to tour. I was like, oh wow, like this house is nice, the layout and everything. So I've always had a knack for real estate before I even got into the industry as well.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So in terms of a little bit more about kind of what you did as you found this opportunity to work in real estate, you had a couple of career changes too in between, right? So tell us a little bit more about like that, because you didn't stay in real estate as soon as you jumped in. You had a temporary change up in careers.
Yeah, definitely. So I was in real estate for 2 years, and then I did get an opportunity to work in a corporate job. I've never had a corporate position before, so I always thought what it would be like to work there. So I made the jump, was there for 2 years, and then after the second year, basically I kind of realized this isn't really it for me. So I decided to make the jump back, and that's currently where I'm at right now. I'm with the Acumen Group over at Compass Real Estate.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. And I think that's important, though, that you took that risk and you bet on yourself in that moment, right? Because a lot of people want something that's just comfortable, like a corporate job. You know, you're sitting at a desk, you get a check every 2 weeks or whatever, and, you know, it's going to be consistent. But you realized you weren't happy with that. That wasn't fulfilling you.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with working a corporate job. I mean, it's definitely props to everybody who definitely wants to go that route. But for me, I made that jump, and then I realized this is probably not for me and what I want to do the rest of my life. Right. My parents, they basically came in to the U.S. with basically nothing, and I saw them build something out of, you know, the opportunities that they had. And I've always had that entrepreneurship kind of mindset growing around that industry as well. My parents, they bought a restaurant and they built it up. So that's basically where the whole entrepreneurship journey started for me. And I definitely learned a lot from that.
Yeah, that's cool. You got a lot of your work ethic from your parents.
Yes, exactly. You know, it's not more of like a 9-to-5 job for them. It's more of like, until you get the work done, that's when you're finally done. And they've always instilled that into me. Even when I accomplished new goals and everything, they would always tell me, okay, you got this done, but what are you going to do next?
Right.
What's next? It's basically, keep pushing yourself and, you know, making yourself comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that's basically how it is when it comes to me and my work ethic. You know, you'll see me start work as soon as I wake up, answer text, emails, and then sometimes I won't even stop working until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, because I also take calls for my clients as well. I'm open to them 24/7. Yeah. So I want to make sure that they're happy and all of their their questions are answered.
Yeah, that's awesome though. And I think that's the type of mentality that's required to be successful in your field, right? You need to really be about it. You can't just clock in and clock off. You know, it's not a 9-to-5, right?
No, it is not. If anybody's that's trying to get into real estate, it's definitely not where you wake up, you start whenever you want, and then, you know, leave whenever you want. It's basically, a lot of people don't understand that it's also a sales job.
Yeah.
So you're constantly grinding. You're always trying to figure out ways to help your clients out. Make sure you answer those questions. Also get them into that property that they would always want to be in.
Yeah.
Or helping them sell their house. Every house is different, so you need to strategize accordingly.
Right.
And on top of that, every client wants, and they also have different needs. So you have to make sure that you accomplish those goals and those needs that they want. And on top of that, it's not just getting a contract signed by both parties. You also have to walk them and educate them through the entire route.
Right. You're teaching someone about real estate while you're selling them real estate. Right?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And the biggest thing too is that you need to learn to adjust.
Yeah.
You need to learn to adjust. And on top of that, the market changes as fast as 2 weeks. So you have to,
that's insane.
You have to literally learn
and
adjust. You're always learning, no matter you're 20 years old or you're 50 years old in the industry, you're always learning. So
I want to dive into that a little bit more too. So for people who want to get into real estate, can you break down a little bit about who you work for, how, if you're comfortable, maybe how pay structure, you don't have to say how much you make, but like how pay structure works and kind of, you know, how you got into it a little bit, and like, you know, who do you reach out to if, let's say, I wanted to start real estate? What kind of credentials do I need to get?
So to be honest, in order to get licensed for real estate, all you need is a high school diploma or a GED. There's a lot of people that do have a college education. They have a lot of them have a background in communications and psychology, because a lot of people do become that therapist for their client as well. When they don't know if they made the right choice of purchasing this property or not, you have to talk to them and make sure that they're calm and at ease, because it's a stressful process.
It's a big investment too, a big risk.
It's a huge risk and investment because you never know what could happen, right?
Especially
I remember that month when I put an offer on a property, man, it was crazy. Like you go through so much emotions.
You do.
All of a sudden you feel broke and you're like, crap, man, what if this doesn't work out?
Was this a good idea? Yeah.
Yeah, it's called basically cold feet, man. Yeah. It's happened quite a bit of times.
Really? So people actually like at the very last minute have backed up and just said, hey, you know what? I can't do this.
I've had it when it comes to me helping clients sell their house or people buying because it's just like what Max said. He wasn't sure if he made the right choice. Mm-hmm. So once they get those thought process through their head, you have to advise them to say, hey, no, this is the best investment that you can make. You know, you're making a good step forward to your, a good life and everything in regards to investment as well. So it pays off in the end.
What are they concerned about though? Is it like, maybe the market's going to crash next year, or like just what are some of the fears that people have when they make like that decision to just back out?
That's probably one of the biggest decisions right now, that people think that the market is going to crash. It's not, because one thing, mortgage rates are very low. And on top of that, compared to 15 years ago when the market actually crashed in the real estate market, people would used to go and say, I don't have a job, and they still would get approved for a loan.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The process in getting pre-approved is a lot more strict. They go through pay stubs, W-2s, and on top of that, make sure you're consistently paying off your debt.
Dude, they want to see like every receipt for the last like 10 years, it feels like. Can you send me a screenshot of your bank statement from
even
like
after
2
you're
months
approved?
ago?
Yeah, even after you're approved.
Yeah.
Even after you're approved, there's still the underwriter double checks again. And on top of that, a lot of people have made that not the wisest decision of purchasing a car or a flat screen TV in the middle of escrow. Yeah. And then the underwriter does the final check, and then you're not approved anymore, you know? So that's a whole stressful situation that you don't want to be in. So I definitely let my clients know to not make any major purchases until you close on the house. The day after you close, you can do whatever you want with your money.
So let's go back a little bit so you work for Compass Acumen Group?
Yes, it's called the Acumen Group. It's was started by one of my mentors, Andrew Jung, a great guy. I've definitely learned a lot since I've joined his group. Basically, Acumen Group the word acumen itself means to make wise and quick decisions at any instant. It's synonymous to being clever and sharp. Yeah. And that's basically who we are. Basically, like I mentioned, purchasing a home is one of the biggest milestones in somebody's life, right? So we're there every step of the way to make sure that you have an easy process to purchase or sell your home. And we also come in and give that Nordstrom service as well. We want to make sure that not only you're happy with the house you're purchasing, but you're also happy with the entire process.
That's awesome.
So that's why I always keep my phone open all the time. I make sure I'm there for my clients. And on top of that, after we close on a house, it's not like you won't ever hear from me again. I always make sure that they're happy a month down the line, 6 months, if they need anything with any repairs of the house or anything. That's why I make sure I have a phone book full of other partners to make sure that my clients are happy with the service that they get as well.
What drew you into the Acumen Group? Because just going back a little bit with your story, you went in real estate, you went in corporate, and then you moved back to real estate. I know within corporate environments, there's a lot of comfort in that, obviously. But what made you choose Acumen as your next step and next opportunity? Were you impressed with the team, the portfolio of homes that they've sold? Like, what drew you in?
So the whole group itself is very diverse. We all come from different backgrounds, and we have different thought processes. We have daily meetings. We keep each other accountable. And on top of that, we learn from each other. So we tell each other in regards to what transactions we're currently doing. And we advise each other in regards to, okay, maybe you could do this or that. Strategize. And I definitely have learned a lot. And on top of that, working with Andrew, he definitely has a lot of great connections. And as a mentor himself, he is probably one of the better mentors I've ever had. He's definitely taught me within the past 6 months a lot of things that I wouldn't have learned in the next couple of years.
Oh, wow.
So that's how quick I've been able to learn. Big shout out to him. But at the same time, it's just the whole way he works and strategizes. And it's taught me a lot as well.
That's so like in any other field, getting a mentor is very important.
Exactly. Especially in real estate. I mean, the average real estate broker, when they first start, they're lucky to even have one transaction their very first year. You know, that's huge. And on top of that, you don't get paid until you close on a transaction.
What do you think is the cause of that, though? Like when somebody who's looking into saying, you know, hey, I want to make this jump in my career to real estate, like what is the biggest factor that leads to them not selling anything in their first year?
I think it's just false representation within the TV media, and also because a lot of people see $1 million listing, all these other shows.
They see realtors, you know, flexing with their nice cars, big homes, big sales, and they think that they can achieve that as well.
It is a possibility if you put the grind into it, right? But a lot of people think that they're going to jump right into it. Yeah. They think that those leads are going to be right there and they're going to come to you. I mean, unless you have a family member or a friend that's ready to buy right when you get licensed, you're not going to be closing anything. And on top of that, a lot of people have fear of rejection. That's huge in regards to being an entrepreneur itself, right? You're afraid to get rejected. And you have to be comfortable with people saying no. You can't take it personal. Yeah. And a lot of people, unfortunately, do. Once they get punched in the mouth, they don't get back up. Yeah. The ones that do last the longest are the ones that are constantly getting punched in the mouth, learning from it, and then growing. And that's a huge reason probably why a lot of people do jump into it, think they're going to make millions of dollars right away. Yeah. But you really are working basically weeks at a time as well without any breaks.
So not being afraid of failure, that's a huge thing.
That's huge. Yeah. Huge.
Yeah, I say that a lot, man. Like you got to just dive into things and just be like willing to fail.
Yeah, you have to have blind faith in yourself that you'll succeed eventually.
Exactly. Mentality is huge. And on top of that, basically jumping into this industry is like jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down.
That's crazy.
That's literally how it is.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get your first home purchase? Like how many failures did you get before you finally were able to find success?
So for me, my fastest route to my first client was basically calling my sphere, also hosting open houses. And then through my sphere, I was able to be connected to somebody within my first 3 months. But I actually didn't close on a deal with him until 7 months in.
Wow.
But after that, I learned a lot because on top of that, he was a flipper. So I learned a lot in regards to flipping houses and investing. And basically, it's a whole different game over there because it's more analytical. If the numbers don't make sense for an investor, they don't want the house. Yeah. Compared to somebody who's looking to purchase a home and live in it.
Yeah. I don't want to get deep into it, but it's basically buying a house that you feel like is well below market value, right? You're going to buy it well below market value. You got to be able to look at how much you're going to invest in it and then see, because you're getting like a loan. A lot of these people get a loan that's a short-term loan, right? It's like a cash something loan.
It's called a hard money loan. And they're usually just capped at 6 months, but the interest rates are a lot higher.
Right. What is a hard money loan exactly? Yeah.
So basically a hard money lender is somebody who approves a flipper or an investor, says, hey, here's the analytics on this home. This is how much I want to get it for. And this is how much I'm going to sell it at the end of the day.
And the analytics that they look at, kind of what Max mentioned, is just whether it's the house is under market value. Like, what are some other things that they look at?
It's always under market value. And on top of that, what work needs to be done? Is there an area that's growing? No. Is there any capital gains and also profit that you can make off this property once you fix it and sell it?
Is there like a break even period where, like, I don't know, maybe 3 years down the line, like that's where they target to make their money back?
Oh, no, they make it back right away.
Yeah,
right?
It's right away.
Wow.
Because the interest rate is around 10 to 15%.
Oh, right.
So you need to get rid of that loan right away.
Gotcha. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Or if anything, worst case scenario, you need to have a plan B in case you can't sell it, refinance it, rent it out, or try to figure out an exit strategy. Yeah.
Flipping is a whole other ball game, man.
Flipping and wholesaling, it's just basically real estate is not just one single source, right? Yeah. It's just like he mentioned, it's flipping, investing, long-term holding. It's just a whole different game.
Yeah, and some people buy a property. It's not like their dream home, but it's better than renting, and they're going to build equity. So then that's a certain type of investment too. Some people are buying a home because they want it forever. Some people want to buy a home because they're downsizing. Like, I think it's really cool that, there's so many types of people that want to buy property and that you're able to kind of accommodate for that, and you're knowledgeable on all these different types of deals.
Exactly.
I think that's cool.
You kind of have to be like a Swiss Army knife and basically know the market, understand your clients' needs, and be able to come up with a tailored strategy for them. Because just like I said, not every client is the same, just like not every house is the same.
Yeah.
You could buy a really beautiful home, but it might not be selling because of the area.
Yeah.
It just depends, and you need to come up with a strategy to make sure you come out on top and be able to accomplish those goals that your client wants.
Yeah. So a question a lot of people are asking is, why is the real estate market so hot? You know, nationwide, but specifically the Seattle, Bellevue area, it's crazy right now, right? People are asking for, or people are paying $50,000, $100,000 over asking price.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you got some more details on that?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a combination of a lot of things with record low mortgage rates. They went below 3% for the first time in 50 years.
Yeah.
That's anything below 3% is essentially free money.
Yeah.
And
Wow, yeah.
a lot of
Believe it.
buyers definitely jumped at that opportunity. Right now, we are still at 3.125% at today. We're projected to be at 3.4 by the end of the year. Anything below 3.5 is still an awesome mortgage rate.
Yeah.
Within the next 2 years, we're projected to be hitting around 4%.
Oh, so it's going up fast.
In probably like in about a year and a half, 2 years, we'll probably be around that range. But for right now, it's still keeping the market hot. Another thing too is the pandemic. A lot of people are able to work from home now. So a lot of people have realized that they don't have to live in the city anymore. So that's why the suburbs are a lot hotter right now than the city itself. Like you go up to Lake Stevens, the new developments, developers can't keep up with the demand.
Really?
So instead of first come, first serve, they've opened up the gates to highest and best offer. And normally what I advise my clients is to go to expect to possibly in a multiple offer situation. Most offers get around 20 to 25% over asking price.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Because I just recently had a client that decided to move out of the city and exchanged it for the country life. So that's kind of showing where things are going to in the suburbs as well. And as well as the tech boom that's going on.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that it's a bubble because of the prices going up. But it's not. It's just the economy catching up to everything that's going on. It's not the Seattle that we grew up around originally. The technology and all these companies have been boosting the economy heavily. And it's basically bringing in Google, Facebook, Amazon in Seattle, Microsoft on the east side, and on top of that, those side companies that are being grown out of people that used to work for those tech companies as well.
Yeah. So tech boom, low interest rates, and just everybody's trying to get into the market. That's why it's so hot right now. And a little bit of a shift, right, in where people want to live.
Exactly. And then a lot of to shut down rumors that there is a bubble too. 15 years ago, like I mentioned, anybody could get pre-approved. People were getting pre-approved through their dogs' names. Now they do heavy investigation in regards to, can you purchase this property? How much are you able to be approved for? And they make sure that those people who are being approved now are in fact capable of paying off their mortgage debt. So it's a lot more stricter regulations in regards to getting approved for a home now too.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that want to buy right now, right? Because it's so hot, low interest rates. What's your advice for people that want to buy a home? Maybe if you had like a top 3 tips.
Top 3 tips?
Yeah.
Make sure that you have steady income coming in.
Steady income.
Finances are good. Debt to income ratio is low.
What does that mean for people that don't know what a debt to income ratio is?
Basically, it means that you don't have too much debt compared to how much you're earning. If let's say you make around $3,000 to $4,000 a month, but your debt takes up a majority.
Like you got a car loan, you got a loan for your TV, you got a loan for your headphones.
All of a sudden, your expenses are like $2,500, and out of the $3,000 or $4,000 that you get per month, it's like, well, you don't really have that much money to play with.
Exactly. They're trying to make sure that AMG doesn't take up 50% of your income that you come in monthly.
Do you see a lot of that happening though? Like with people like, hey man, I'm ready to buy. Like, I got all this stuff, and they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, I only have like an extra $1,000 a month. Can you work with that?
Pulls up in a Ferrari.
No, surprisingly, I don't.
Okay.
A lot of people are really wise with their money, especially the clients that I've been working with. I've heard some of those stories, but more than anything, I've heard more of people purchasing a major purchase while they're in escrow before they even close, and that causes the underwriter to not approve their loan, and then they're basically out of a home.
Got it.
So
going back to that though, the top 3 tips is make sure your debt to income ratio is low. So what would be like the sweet spot of that? Like 20%, 30%?
30% would probably be the sweet spot there.
Okay, so no more than that.
30 to 50%. Any more than that, then honestly, the interest rate's going to be a lot higher for you.
Got it.
That's not a good deal. Yeah. Okay. And so what was the third? Was that the third one? Sorry.
I think that was number 2. Well, you got one more, right?
One more, right?
Also, finances as well would be another one.
Okay. So just making sure that you're on top of your finances, you're paying your bills, and make sure your credit score is up to date.
Credit score is up to date, and on top of that, you have steady income coming in.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what are some red flags that you would caution people to look out for when they're looking for a home, whether it's the real estate agent, the actual home they're looking at, or anything within the process that people should look out for?
One of the major red flags in regards to purchasing a home would be the roof, plumbing, foundation, electrical, and also the ventilation as well.
Yeah.
So those would be the 5 most expensive things that anybody could go through in regards to their home.
Yeah.
And that's one of the major things that you need to look out for.
So look at the home, and I know there's an inspection, right? So get that inspection done.
Oh, for
Correct.
sure.
Yeah, it's highly advised to do an inspection. A lot of people in this current market right now, in regards to sellers, they have their own pre-inspection that's conducted.
Gotcha.
And you could also request for that. And if you feel comfortable with their inspection, it saves you around $400.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of people waiving inspection when putting in an offer in this area? I imagine there is, right?
In this market, they're waiving a lot
That's
of things. Yeah. So inspection,
That's
make sure that the title report is clear. There's no liens towards the house.
Yeah.
So if everything comes free and clear, you could definitely waive that as well.
Would you recommend waiving an inspection? I don't think so, right? Like you still would have to.
I would still recommend doing an inspection regardless, unless they already procured a pre-inspection on it.
Right.
Then you could definitely go off of that. Or if your client really feels more comfortable doing their own inspection, then they could do their own inspection as well.
Got it.
So the inspection is a contingency on the offer, right?
Correct. And on top of that, even if you waive an inspection, you could still conduct an inspection on the home.
Oh, okay.
So it just says that I'm not gonna exit this contract
Because of
the inspection contingency. Yeah. So that's basically what you're doing. You could still conduct your own inspection even if you've waived it.
And if you find some problems, you can still back out, right? There's still that.
No,
because
once
of
you
the
waive
inspection.
once you waive it, you can't back out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's a big risk for some
That's
people,
the big
too.
risk
It's
there.
a risk.
Got
But
it.
it's kind of the thing, like maybe if you have all this money, you're like, I don't care if I have to do an electrical replacement of $20,000 because I have like big bucks, right?
Yeah, or if you're going to flip
Those
it,
are the
right?
people that are waiving it, right?
Yeah. Those are the
Yeah.
ones that basically waive everything.
They're willing
almost.
to fix everything if they have to. They just want that piece of land on that property, right?
Exactly.
They want that house. Yeah.
Exactly. It's especially as soon as some people walk into the house and they know that they want it, if they want that house bad enough, they will do whatever it takes to pursue the
Believe
property.
it.
What are some horror stories that you've seen when touring homes or selling homes? Like, I bet there's some like really risky properties that you've like shown people. So like, tell us a little bit more about that.
I think one of my biggest horror stories when I first started, I was so eager to do open houses, and I was asked to do an open house the day before, and I just jumped to it and went to it, opened the door, and noticed that the whole house has completely just been destroyed. Like flooring
my
been
God.
destroyed, clothing all over the house, and TV still on.
Are we talking like drywall holes? Like you can
Like
see.
holes into the hardwood floors and everything just destroyed.
wow.
Yeah. And then I thought somebody was gonna jump out the corner.
Oh,
was that
wow.
bad?
I called
yeah.
the agent and they said, "Oh yeah, I forgot that to tell you that it was a squatting situation with the house,
Oh my
and
gosh.
the people who were squatting there were selling drugs, so they
That's
had a
wild.
sheriff's order to come in and escort them the night before."
Wow.
Another one too that I've heard is during the recession. Unfortunately, a lot of people were just leaving their houses without paying their bills, and that left opportunities for squatters again.
Yep.
So they went to go open the door because they were showing the property. It was in foreclosure. And as they were opening the door, a crackhead jumps out of the window of the roof and just runs out of it. So that's probably one of the biggest horror stories I've heard.
Dang. Was that your only time encountering somebody like living in that property when you're at home?
For me, when I first started, yeah, that was my only encounter. Other than that, it's nothing compared to that.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
man. I can't even
Wow.
imagine.
What are some of the best stories? Like,
Yeah,
you
let's
know,
flip
let's
side
end on a
of
good note.
The best stories, basically, all of my clients, I've appreciated them,
Right.
who I've worked with. But I think my best stories are the immigrant family that's moved here, worked their asses off to get their first home, right?
Yeah.
Those are probably my favorite ones because the look on their face when I finally, tell them that we're closed and I'm passing on the key to them, I mean, that's their American dream right there.
Oh, yeah,
man.
for
You just
sure.
see it in their eyes, and
Literally
definitely
years of work to get to that
Years.
moment.
Entire life, dude. Like people in their 50s, 60s, like just barely making it here.
exactly. And then they have their little kids with them, and then as soon as we go pending to during the escrow process, they ask me like, can we go and take a look at the house? We want to show our family.
Yeah.
Like you can see the
That's
excitement and the
awesome.
proudness in them. And yeah, once you close it, I don't think those are any better stories
That's
for me.
beautiful
Yeah.
that you're a part of that process, you know.
Yeah,
That's so
man.
cool, man.
There's a lot of Mexican families up here, and then they're achieving that American dream up here
Yeah.
too. So
It's amazing.
I'm sure you
man.
kind of see yourself in them too, right?
yeah,
When that
exactly.
happens.
Because I definitely see a lot of my family.
Yeah.
When we first started off here, we didn't have much, but saw my parents build something, and now to see where they're at in life. I always see a little bit of my family and those families that
It's
are
almost
purchasing.
like you
house
get
for
a
the first
time
time.
machine, go back and watch your family again. That's
Exactly,
cool, man.
exactly.
No, thank you so much for being on here, man. I
Yeah,
think
seriously.
you've shared a lot of great advice. How can people get in touch with you, or if people want to buy a home or they have questions about the market, how can they reach you?
They could reach me through my cell. They could call, text me 206-618-2244.
Okay, we'll have that.
They can reach through my Instagram. It's Ariel Sanchez, all together with an X in between my first and last name, or email me ariel@acumengroup.re.
Cool. And you
Awesome.
specialize the whole like Seattle. What's your kind of area?
Basically, Snohomish, King, and Pierce County is the majority that I cover.
Snohomish,
Which is
King, and
Western
Pierce.
Washington, Puget Sound area.
Puget Sound area, exactly.
Cool. So if you're gonna buy a home, you know who to hit up. This guy right here. No, cool. Well, thank you so much one more time, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and thank you everybody for tapping into the Untapped Potential Podcast. If you want to learn more about Ariel, if you want to reach out to him, we'll have his his phone number and the links to his social media websites in the description. And yeah, so new episodes coming out every Monday. Stay tuned till next time.